I have this little experience. I was on a train, and when I was on this train, there was all these characters around me. They were all like, if I was looking at people and their faces, like above them would pop up like little names and descriptions of them. And I was looking at each person, and each person was a type of character. They had a certain quality or trait. And as I'm looking around the train, all of a sudden I can see that there's going to be some kind of like a murder mystery, that is going to be like a murder mystery. And I'm something like Sherlock Holmes, and I'm looking around at all these people, and I can see certain things that other people cannot, like little habits that they have, or like watching their body language. And so I'm kind of making these little profiles on everybody. Well, I remember I'm looking around the train again, and then this man sitting across from me, he had a monocle on one eye, and he was wearing this kind of like bowler hat, and he was dressed for the era type of thing, because it was kind of almost like an older train. It reminded me of an older train. And anyways, on the train, so I'm sitting across from this man. She came in and meowed, and it totally, like, it's funny. Okay, anyways, so I'm looking at this man, and he tells me, "Do you know who's going to do it?" And I said, "Well, I haven't figured it out yet." I haven't figured it out yet. I hadn't deduced what was going on. And he just gave me a little hint. He said, it showed up almost like he pulled out a piece of pen and paper, and it was like a comment that he had written. And he had said, "Well, here's a hint." And he said, "This is who's going to do it." And the name started with an M. And he said, "It's the individual who likes to," he said, "It's the chemist or something like that, the doctor on board. He's going to end up doing it," or something like that. And so he was basically giving me a little part of the answer. Anyways, I had to catch him in the act, so I had to still do it. But I just thought it was a fun experience in that one. So, it's getting these hints to know what's taking place and then deciding to do it. So that's kind of how I brought it around. So thank you.
Yes, these are our little fun experiences, Jeremy. Yes, in the years that I've done this, and it continues as because of what's going on in the world, etc. And yes, you have all these characters. And so as you were going along there, I remember that old movie. It's called Murder on the Orient Express, and kind of like the game of Clue, and they made a movie, Clue, also. So we're always dealing with these characters, and life sees their intent, even though they're disguised in the personal self here. We all have our disguises, etc. But it all leads to, as we keep deciding, that singular view, that one isness view. And so as we keep going, and most people don't, they come and go because they just do the first part, which is the studying. And it's kind of like in school or whatever, where you study a lot, and you can tell the teacher, "Well, I studied a lot." Yeah, but you didn't take the test, and you didn't pass it. So the thing being is that that's the important part. Why are you studying? So what are you doing all the studying for? And it's just like people who read the books and do the NUUU and have experiences. You're really in the study area. You're really in the first steps of it. And little by little, you're gradually led to what's more and more real. And it becomes a lot. It becomes a lot until you really learn to see it. And even then, with the physical body and the pressures, it becomes a lot. I experience it a lot. I'm just, it's very heavy to me. And this is how it is. And the other night I met Paul on the real side, and it was kind of a funny situation. But anyhow, Paul was looked like a Pillsbury Doughboy, just really way overweight, etc. But what he was showing me was, and I shook his hand, and this was, again, another reassurance of what I'm doing here, etc. And it was very, very rough, very, very rough. And that just shows that he's just nonstop doing work. He's taken on huge amounts to try and get people through, etc. And I've seen this many times with Paul. Years ago, he was inside of a private jet, putting it together, and I went inside. I just From the outside, I saw him through the window, and I said, "Hi, Paul." And I went inside and shook his hand, and it was very, very rough. Again, like a construction worker, doing the work, setting things up, etc. And the boys have went through a lot with me, because I know that after within the first year of taking on the rod of power, because I was trying to do things and I was trying to figure out things too. He came to me and he was very upset with me. And he said, I've been working my ass off to try and get this to friggin' work, etc. And because of my situation, whatever, I couldn't figure it out. And I had to go through a lot to really, but I didn't lose my focus. But I really had to go through a lot to figure it out and get it to where it is today, etc. So as we go through these things, I'm just trying to, I'm not saying, oh, look what I did or whatever. It's not about that. I'm always trying to get people to focus on the importance of what you have and how precious and valuable it is, and each part of it, and to really have the complete sincerity to do something real. And so, just like Nusser's experience, and even Paul himself, if you read the Tiger's Fang book, which is very good, and as he went through that experience with Rebazar at that time, he didn't know. He hadn't figured it out. He just thought, oh, okay, I'll get God realization and that'll be it. Everything will be cool. No, it wasn't that at all. It was a whole lot. And even through creating Ekankar, etc., as time went by, and it doesn't even matter if it's infected or not. These become passive systems, you see. They just become passive, just like relationships. They can be the best of relationships, the best of intent, the best of sincerity, and it all becomes passive attachment, doesn't it, into more brain-soaked lifetimes. That's just very, very real. So as we, clean this up, and so now we've gotten to the point where it's focused on this isness, that's it. I just wrote another group last night. I stayed up till 3 and wrote this group. Risk takers, again, reiterating that that's what it is. And from the experiences of Kevin and Mistress and others as the great witnesses, sharing that, if things get really bad, we're going to another planet, but it's only going to be for the risk takers. We're not going to take the dumb down that are going to ruin everything. Just like your dog passing over. It can even be a dog. Again, when a 747 is flying, and many times at the airports, there are birds and they get caught in the engines. Well, that plane goes down. And it's just from a little birdie. Yeah, into the turbine. That's very real. So again, everything here is very, very fragile. And so the best part is to figure it out, whether you do or not, okay. And if you do, that's great. That's in the literal sense, but the real sense is that recognition of this isness. It's more so, it's not so much who you know, but what is it that is? Yeah, and that's the best part. And when the boys see that you start to see that, that's what they're backing. That part, that intent that you see this reality. And sincerely so, and no holding back. Yeah, so, yes, thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, so we are having the best experience here of anything, and who can you tell? You really can't. And so again, it's precious. That's why I'm here all the time, etc. And what's Harry doing? You see, again, these failed masters, etc. They don't care about nothing. It's really hard to find people that are sincere and true to something real, and there's just a few of us, and that's how it is. And the rest, we're trying to help the world as much as we can. And I know it's a struggle. It's a bitch. It's really a bitch. And so, and it's hard for all of us. And we have ailments. We have these different things. But the real idea is let go. Just go through the process. Let go of these relationships. Let everybody be themselves. And then just take it from there. And let that mother, father, sister, brother ideas, let that go. Let that go. It's all made up. Let it go. Let these people be themselves. I had the daughter. I let her go. I I trained her the best I could, but she wanted her way. I let her go. Let her go. And actually, a couple nights ago, she came around and kissed me on the cheek. So again, surprise. But again, it's her free will that decides that. You have to respect that because that's how life is. And it's like the sun shining. You don't decide to block it out like Bill Gates wants to, etc. You don't decide to block it out. You decide to share it, realistically, but we can't force the free will. So again, thank you everybody for the experiences and everything you're doing, because it's very, very important. And I see the preciousness of each person that I meet. And like the Mexicans down here, I've seen so many precious people, and they're just simple people now. And that's why I want to do the projects. As an example to show others that, hey, you don't need all this strange technology and all this stuff like this. You don't need all this hoopla and hocus pocus. You don't need that. Stop looking for magical cures and all those things. Just, use the basics. And we've all gotten ourselves into trouble. Fine. Face it. I do. And I don't like it. I have to deal with it. I get upset at times, etc. But I don't lose that focus. And the best part of my experience is to see all of you okay, and to constantly promote the sincerity of what's real. It's so cool. And that you're okay, and I hear you giggle and laugh and whatever, and that's just great. Thank you so much.